How's everybody doing? Let's get to it. Let's get to it, my people. Let's get to it. Hey, all right, so LGB without the T. So of course we're talking about the LGBTQ plus community. Saw this article, LGB without the T. The LGB community divorcing from the TQ plus. Is it a right-wing conspiracy or a real possibility? It says here, the LGBTQ community is allegedly heading to Splitsville, at least partially. There are two significant reasons why the LGB, which is lesbian, gay, bisexual, part of the LGBTQI plus might want to separate. Women and children is the reason why they're saying they might want to separate. It says here on Twitter, one person shared a post reading that everything is transphobic and trans activist. They claim lesbians and gay men are told that same-sex attraction is transphobic by the T. So they're saying that the T, transsexuals, tell lesbians and gay men that same-sex attraction is transphobic, like, you know, homophobic, transphobic, one of those, which is homophobic, exactly what I was just saying. It concluded, who would want to be with a bunch of homophobes? So apparently, they're saying the transsexual community is now having beef with the lesbian, gay, and bisexual community because of the same sex associations, I should say, with the gender fluidity that kind of lays within the other areas of like transsexuality. So there's kind of like a little split they're saying happening. But is it really a split? We'll go further into that in a second. It says here, the same person who retweeted the post shared a caption. There is apparently a whole movement called LGB without the TQ standing up against women erasure and manipulation of children. And I just want to thank you. So they're saying that the LGB, which is the lesbian, gay, bisexual part, they're having a problem with the transsexual part because they're saying the transsexual part, like for example, um, men who, you know, um, are transsexuals and they're going into being a woman, but the individuals who originally were men that now want to compete in women's sports is not fair, right? So you might have women who are the L's, like the lesbians, let's say. Let's say you have a woman who's an L, who's a lesbian, or a B, a bisexual. That woman who's an L or a B, who's a lesbian or a bisexual, that woman might play volleyball, for example, or run track, but she might be a lesbian. She might be a bisexual individual, right? She might be gay. But she's still a woman and she wants to run track. She's saying that it's not fair that the man who is now transgender into a transsexual into a woman, that now that man who with that individual who originally was a man who sees themselves now as a woman should be allowed to run in a female track race because that individual originally was a man. So a lesbian, gay, bisexual woman may have a problem with the transsexual community of somebody who originally was a man who's now a woman and wants to compete in women's sports because it might be unfair to that lesbian that someone who was a man can now compete against her and maybe outdo her in a women's sport because that individual who was a transgender, transsexual, was originally a man. So there's a split between women who might still be gay or lesbian or bisexual and the transgender, transsexual community for things like that. It says, what is women's erasure? One person shared, for the people responding to this thread who don't know what women erasure is, it's this. It's being told that men must be allowed. See, Mayor Omar is always here. That's what I was just talking about. It must be told that men must be allowed in women's spaces at all times because men are women. Oh, see, this part I didn't even hit on, including rape shelters and sports and prisons. It's a takeover of women's stuff. So a woman who might be bisexual or gay or a lesbian, they don't feel like a man, they don't feel like a woman who used to be a man should be allowed in a woman's rape shelter or women's sports or a women's prison. So there's a separation happening here, right? It says feminists in the LGBTQ community. There has always been a strong connection between feminists and the LGBTQ community. The two movements followed each other for decades because their leading cause has always been the same, which is equality. Equality should be there for everybody, absolutely, 100%. For the LGBTQ community, acceptance is another major issue. But in many places, so is being a strong, educated woman. But this decades-old connection might be the reason for the so-called divorce of the rainbow. On May 4th, Santos tweeted, I don't know if Santos is somebody we should be listening to, but it's all good. It's time we all understand that the LGB people have different social issues than the TQIA people do. So I am calling for a divorce of the LGB from the TQIA plus. This is kind of where I think this is going. Let's watch this. 2019, the LGB Alliance claimed its purpose was to see lesbians, gay men, and bisexuals living free from discrimination or disadvantage based on their sexual orientation. Since then, this organization has faced numerous allegations, including being anti-trans, and was even linked to the Christian right and anti-abortion groups. This is where I think we have to be careful. LGBTQIA plus individuals, listen to me. Listen up. Politicians, I'm a politician also. Elected officials, politicians are very, 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 very sneaky, conniving, and they plan out everything. Be careful, LGBTQIA plus individuals. Right-wing conservatives, you see right here it says it's linked to the Christian right. Right-wing conservatives, right-wing conservative Republicans, I believe they are doing to you all what is a historic divide and conquer. It's so easy these days because through social media, you can hide your identity. So you can have somebody go on social media who's a right-wing conservative, neo-Nazi, and they can pose like they're a gay man or a lesbian woman and say, you know what? I don't like trans people. I don't like transsexuals. I don't like transgenders. I don't want to be a part of them. And this might be a straight heterosexual right-wing conservative neo-Nazi saying this, posing as a lesbian woman just to say bad, despairing things against transgender people, just so transgender people respond to a post or respond to something on social media, and transgender people get to start to say, oh, you don't want to be a part of us anymore? Fine. We don't like you guys either. We don't like the LGB group either. And they'll cause a fight on social media between you two when it wasn't even started from anybody from that group. It's so easy today for a right-wing Republican conservative, neo-Nazi, to pose as a lesbian woman and start to say bad things just to split up the group. So I'm just saying to the entire LGBTQ plus community, be careful of this. Don't fall for the age-old divide and conquer, because political groups, politicians, elected officials, they're really sneaky when it comes to things like this. And these are things that they will do to divide you up. Because if they can divide their enemy up and have now the LGBTQIA plus community fight amongst each other, it makes you all weaker. It's like, this is historic. This is like, it's age old, divide and conquer. This is what, back in the days of the knights and the Persian Empire and the Roman empires and the Greek state wars, things like that. Back in those days, when we were fighting with swords and shields, they would do stuff like this. If you fought against a larger army, you would send little gossiping things here and there to make the larger army fight amongst themselves. So you can divide them, and then you only have to worry about half the army instead of the whole army itself. This is age old divide and conquer. Be very, very careful of this. The LGBTQ AI plus community. Be very careful of this. What's that? The LGB, divorced from TQ plus, for some means distancing themselves from the trans community for what they call mutilating children. But it does not mean that all transgender people are for the transition before individuals become adults. One person wrote on Twitter, there's also trans like me doing the same thing. I've been speaking up against the mutilation of children for a while now. Indoctrination in the schools, and also, I'm sorry for women's sports. Biological men like me should not be competing against women. It says, individual who has around a million followers on TikTok, she urged people, I really think to be making these life-altering decisions, you should be 18 years of age. It's a great argument, right? Maybe they shouldn't be able to transition so early. I don't know. That has to be decided within that community, right? And amongst people, amongst the voters. Some people also wondered if splitting the rainbow flag is nothing but a ploy. Listen up. Some people also wondered if splitting the rainbow flag is nothing but a ploy to make the LGBTQ plus community weaker. A ploy to make you all weaker. Be careful with the divide and conquer. It's a setup to have you guys fight amongst each other. There is strength in numbers, but with the ever-expanding flag, some subgroups feel excluded, but no one knows what the future holds. What do you think? Anyone can claim anything on social media, but what do you think about the rumored divorce? Could it be a step in the right direction, or the right wing's attempt to break up the community? Right-wing conservative Republicans would rather have you all fight amongst each other because that makes you weaker. Be very careful of that. Be very careful of that. And as all you guys know me, I'm on nobody's side. I have never been a Republican. I have never been a Democrat. So I have equal smoke for both sides. When Republicans do something wrong and they're sneaky, I call them out. When the Democrats do something wrong, I call them out. This is the beauty of having never, ever throughout my entire life been a Republican or a Democrat. I can go at all of them equally. This is me. Since I was 18, for those of you guys who don't know, since I was 18 years old, since I was first able to vote, I've been an NPA. NPA, no party affiliation. NPA. That's the first thing I ever filled out on my very first voter registration card when I was 18 years old. And I've been that ever since. So I have no dog in the race. I have no sides. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I call out whoever is wrong. And the Republicans right here, I believe, are being sneaky and conniving, and they're trying to divide and conquer the LGBTQIA plus community. Do not allow the Republican right-wing neo-Nazis to divide you all up and have you fight amongst yourself to make you weaker. Appreciate that. You guys take care. Have a great day or great night, depending on what side of the world you're on. It's Mayor Omar, y'all. Never a Republican, never a Democrat. I got equal amount of smoke for both sides. You get the truth right here. You guys take care. Love you guys. Peace. Bye-bye.